Jack Miller, a humble librarian in the quaint town of Havenbrook, had always found solace in the steady rhythm of ticking clocks. His evenings were often spent lost in the pages of history books, fascinated by the tales of eras long gone. Little did he know, his life was about to take a remarkable turn when he encountered a mysterious antique clock. One evening, while closing up the library, an elderly woman entered, clutching an ornate clock wrapped in a cloth. With a sense of urgency, she handed it to Jack, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and relief. "Please, take this," she implored. "It's been in my family for generations, but it's time for it to find a new keeper." Before Jack could respond, she vanished into the night. Intrigued, he unwrapped the clock at home. An inscription caught his eye. "The gift of time. To save the past, one must live it." As Jack wound the clock, he was enveloped in a dazzling light. When it faded, he found himself in a different era, his surroundings pulsating with life. The clock in his hand seemed to whisper secrets of the ages, and Jack realized he had been given the ability to leap through time. In this particular leap, Jack found himself on a windy beach in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, in the early 20th century. He recognized the iconic scene from his history books. This was the site of the Wright brothers' first flight attempts. Guided by the knowledge he had acquired in his modern-day life, Jack sought out the Wright brothers' camp. The two inventors greeted him with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity, but Jack's enthusiasm and confidence soon won them over. The Wright brothers were struggling with a significant issue. The flyer had a tendency to roll uncontrollably, making it nearly impossible to keep the wings level and maintain a straight path. This problem had stymied their progress and threatened to derail their dreams of flight. Jack, recalling his high school physics lessons and his fascination with modern aircraft, had an idea. He remembered reading about the concept of wing warping, an early method of controlling an aircraft's roll by twisting the wings. Although the Wright brothers were aware of this concept, they hadn't perfected its implementation. "Have you considered using a bicycle chain mechanism to control the wing warping more precisely?" Jack suggested one evening after observing their test flights. "You could link the control system to a set of pulleys and cables, much like the gears on a bicycle. It might give you the precision you need." Orville and Wilbur exchanged glances. It was a simple idea, yet elegant and rooted in the familiar mechanics they understood well. Encouraged, they decided to give it a try. They scavenged parts from their bicycle shop and fashioned a rudimentary chain and pulley system. The next few days were spent adjusting and refining the mechanism, ensuring it was responsive and reliable. Jack's modern-day insight had provided a fresh perspective on a problem that had seemed insurmountable. As they worked, Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of camaraderie and purpose. He wasn't just a spectator of history. He was an active participant, helping to shape the future of human flight. However, their progress did not go unnoticed. A rival inventor, Samuel Jenkins, consumed by jealousy and desperation, plotted to sabotage the Wright brothers' efforts. Jenkins had been trying to develop his own flying machine, but his attempts had been met with failure. Seeing the Wright brothers' success, he resolved to undermine them. Late one night, Jack noticed a shadowy figure lurking near the workshop. His instincts on high alert, he quietly followed the figure and overheard Jenkins' plan to damage the flyer by tampering with the control cables and puncturing the fabric of the wings. Jack knew he had to act quickly. He returned to the workshop and devised a plan. First, he set up a makeshift alarm system using bells and string which would alert them to any further attempts to break in. Then, he carefully inspected the flyer, identifying the most vulnerable points Jenkins might target. With the Wright brothers' help, Jack reinforced the control cables by adding extra layers of protective wrapping. They also coated the wings with a layer of oil, making it more difficult for any potential saboteur to cut through the fabric without being detected. The following night, Jenkins made his move. As he tried to tamper with the flyer, the bells jangled loudly, waking Jack and the Wright brothers. They rushed to the workshop and caught Jenkins in the act. Confronted and outnumbered, Jenkins fled into the night, leaving behind his tools and plans. The next day, the Wright brothers reported the incident to the local authorities, who ensured Jenkins could no longer threaten their work. With the saboteur thwarted, they focused on their upcoming flight attempt with renewed determination. On the day of the historic flight attempt, the winds were strong and favorable. Jack, Orville, and Wilbur stood together on the sandy dunes of Kitty Hawk, hearts pounding with anticipation. the newly modified Wright Flyer gleamed in the sunlight, its intricate control system a testament to their ingenuity and perseverance. Orville took his position at the controls, his hands steady on the newly installed levers. With a nod from Jack, he started the engine. The propellers whirred to life, and the Flyer began to move forward. As it picked up speed, Orville gently manipulated the control system, feeling an unprecedented level of responsiveness. The plane lifted off the ground, soaring into the air. This time the wings stayed level, and the Flyer maintained a steady course. Orville piloted the plane for a full 12 seconds, covering 120 feet before landing safely on the sand. Cheers erupted from the small crowd gathered to witness the event. The Wright brothers had achieved what many thought impossible: the first controlled, powered flight. As the sun set on Kitty Hawk, Jack felt a familiar sensation as the clock began to glow. He hugged Orville and Wilbur, knowing his work there was done. "Thank you, Jack," Orville said, his eyes shining with gratitude. "You've given us a gift beyond measure." In a flash, Jack was back in his own time, standing in his living room. He glanced at the clock, now back to its original state. But he knew its power. He felt a sense of fulfillment and purpose, knowing that his journey through time had only just begun. If you enjoyed this story, there's so much more to come. Jack's adventures are just beginning. Don't miss out on the next thrilling episodes where Jack meets legendary figures and changes the course of history. Hit the follow and subscribe buttons to stay updated with every new story release.